What's going on, guys? Pete Nova here with the Face Off Sports Network. I am back today to go over my rankings, plus tiers to help you win your fantasy football matchups. A little bit earlier today than what we normally would go ahead and do, but figured I'd jump on. I had some extra time and wanted to get the show out of the way. With the Thursday night football game playing tonight, we have Jets, we have Patriots, and I'm excited to kind of answer some questions that you might have, as well as go over my rankings and tiers for each and every position group. And so, yeah, that's where we're kind of at. We got a couple people in the house here. Albert's here. What's going on, Albert? Zach Linton's here. Said, Philly, I'm inside you. Zach, I assume you are going to the Phil. You're a Patriots fan, so I guess maybe you're traveling. You're driving through Philly to get to New York for the game tonight. Let me know. Jonathan Santiago's in the house. He's got a question regarding Flacco over Mahomes. Uh, Vashon's in the house, had Henderson for Hampton. Steve's in the house as well. So we got a couple of questions. We'll talk about the Jonathan Santiago question here first, because I think this is a very it's a real question to have, right? Mahomes is playing against a Denver defense who, has been very stout against the quarterback position. They're, bottom three in the NFL right now for points allowed to the position. So I think it's a pretty fair question to ask. And I don't blame you for kind of being on the fence here. When I look at my rankings, they are pretty close. But I have Joe Flacco ahead of Patrick Mahomes. I have Joe Flacco as my quarterback 9 this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have Patrick Mahomes at 12, and that might seem a little bit rough. But I mean, if you look at the last 5 weeks, you know, Denver gets a mini bye. Patriots are coming out with extra rest off the bye, and we know Andy Reid really is good coming out of the bye. But when I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and I look at the Broncos right now are allowing 15 points to the quarterback position in fantasy football, and over the last 5 weeks, they've given up just 5 passing touchdowns. 5 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions to the quarterback position. Now, I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes is not going to score points this week, but I like the Steelers game. I think there's going to be points in that Bengals Steelers game. I'm taking a look here to see if I have it pulled up. Yeah, Steelers versus quarterbacks are giving up 23 fantasy points. And Joe Flacco has been the best quarterback in fantasy over the last 4 weeks on an average points per game basis. So it's not that crazy of a question. I know maybe being a Denver fan, that might sound a little biased to not take Patrick Mahomes this week, but it's just the honest truth. I mean, Flacco's been really, really good. And Mahomes has been good too, but Flacco's just been on a heater. He gets a much more favorable matchup. So that's where I lean. Thoughts on Henderson for Hampton? Uh, it's a little sketchy, right? I mean, Hampton could miss another week after the bye. It's very possible, right? We're not getting Hampton this week. We're not getting him next week. I think I would prefer Hampton if you can afford to not get production for a few weeks, because with this offense, with the Patriots, we have no idea. Henderson has a good week and he's got a favorable schedule the rest of the season, but they might very well go to, Ramondre Stevenson once Stevenson's back. It's not just going to be Henderson's backfield at this point. So I don't hate it. I don't love trading for injured players. I got to be honest. It's burned me a lot, especially this year. I've traded for Terry McLaurin. I've traded for Garrett Wilson. And I mean, those guys have barely played for me. So it's tough trading for injured players. Steve said start one: Worthy, Parker Washington, Troy Franklin. Yeah, I mean, I think these are a lot closer as well than people might want to have that conversation. Parker Washington is pretty high in consensus rankings. I'm a little lower on him. I have him down at 40 against the Chargers. The secondary for the Chargers has been really good at limiting wide receivers to points. I have Troy Franklin at 33, and I have Xavier Worthy down at 47. So I prefer Troy Franklin. I think Denver, they're gonna bracket Cortland Sutton, and it's gonna they're gonna pretty much dare Troy Franklin to beat them. I think the volume will be there for Franklin. I prefer Franklin, in this matchup. I also worry with BTJ coming back. Jacoby Myers is there now. Parker Washington. I think he's going to get some targets, but I don't know how much. KJ Frederick said, "What's up, Pete? I have Seattle defense rostered and picked up Atlanta. Is it a good pivot to play Atlanta this week?" So Atlanta's in for a trap game here. I talked about them as a streamer this week. And you look at their schedule rest of the season. Look, Atlanta needs to win this game, right? So I mean, it might feel like a trap game, but maybe I shouldn't have said that because look, Atlanta's lost 4 in a row after beating the Buffalo Bills, and right now they are hitting a stretch in their schedule. That's the easiest part of the schedule. There's no look ahead for next week where it's a tough matchup, right? The next 3 weeks they have Carolina, the Jets, and the Saints. So they got to take care of business here at home. I had the Falcons here at number 9. I have Seattle at 13. It's really hard not to play Seattle because their defense has just been so good, even in bad matchups. And I don't think the defense is going to be bad this week. But I mean, they're going up against arguably the best offense in the NFL with the Rams. I do worry the Rams offensive line against the pass rush could struggle a little bit, but I think Atlanta's the better play. The Seahawks are the better defense, but Atlanta's the better play. And we know that Atlanta, can show up a little small in some of these matchups that feel like they're plus matchups. So, but one thing I would note is Atlanta against the Panthers did not show up in terms of the points for us, but their defense held the Panthers to under 225 yards total. In that game, it was just Michael Penix threw interception after interception, and Kirk Cousins came into the game at one point. I mean, there was a pick six, I believe. There was turnovers, there was bad field position for that defense, and so that's really kind of was the big story in that game. Zach said he's going to the U's 25th anniversary concert. Nice. That sounds like a good time. We got a couple other questions in here. I'm going to get to that. Let me go through my first tier of players here for my rankings, and I'm going to start off with the quarterback position. And so I'm going to share my screen here for quarterbacks. But I'm going to show my top 24. I think that's fair. I don't think anybody needs or cares to want to see anything more than that. So just give me 1 second here. I'll answer actually one question while I struggle to get this on my screen real quick. So KJ said better kicker option. I have McPherson, Pinheiro, Little, Boswell, Ryland, Santos on waivers. Who is the better option? That's tough for me to say. Hoff is really the better one. He did put out his rankings in a video. I would check out his rankings. I'm probably not the best guy to ask for this question here. But I mean, I'm starting Pinheiro if that means anything to you. But yeah, I think Hoff is probably the best guy to ask for that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here to get up to my rankings. I think you should see it right about now. So you should see that there. If you need me to make it a little bit bigger, let me know in the comments. I think that's pretty tight, but I can try to blow it up a little bit more and then scroll down here. But yeah, in my rankings so far, I have at the quarterback position, I have Drake May as my quarterback 1 this week. He goes up against the New York Jets in prime time. I mean, Drake May is giving us a floor of at least 20 points every single week. It was a really, really nice outing. He wasn't the best in that game against the Bucs, but there were some really big chunk plays that really helped his fantasy outing. So Drake May in that matchup against the Jets, I like him there. Then I have Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars number 1 when it comes to points allowed to the quarterback position in fantasy over the last 5 weeks. They've given up 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 28.4 points per game allowed to the quarterback position in fantasy. So I like the Jaguars. I like Justin Herbert against the Jaguars. Then you have Josh Allen at 3. Bills going up against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers not giving up a ton of points allowed to fantasy defenses. They're 21st with 18.5 on a points per game per basis. And Buffalo needs to bounce back here. Both these teams need to bounce back. I think there should be points in this game. Then Then I have I have Lamar Jackson at 4, Jalen Hurts at 5. Lamar's playing against the Browns, and the Browns are a stingy defense, right? I mean, they don't give up a lot of points to quarterbacks, 17.2 points per game. It's a divisional game. Lamar wasn't that great in the first outing that they had this year, so I worry a little bit about Lamar in that game, but I have him here at number 4. Then I have Jalen Hurts at 5 against the Lions. Another player, I could easily see Lamar and Hurts finishing under, the next three guys, Baker, Dak, and Aaron Rodgers. Jalen's playing up against the Lions this week. Lions, though, I mean, 10th in points per game allowed to the quarterback position, 23.1, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions over the last 5 weeks. From a passing perspective, they've also given up 2 touchdowns on the ground. They've held quarterbacks in check for the most part, 25 attempts, 65 rushing yards. So they've done a good job at containing the quarterback position. And then I have Baker Mayfield going up against Buffalo. Dak Prescott at 7 for Dallas in that game against the Raiders. And, Raiders defense, not great, not good, not anything. I mean, they're 15th in terms of points allowed to the quarterback position, 20.2 points per game, and that's after a stinker against Bo Nix. And again, this is over the last 5 weeks, and that was after a stinker against Bo Nix. And they're still middle of the pack right there, giving up 20 per game. So they're a good matchup to focus on. Then I look here at Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, and Cincinnati has just, I mean, their defense is so bad. 25 points allowed to the quarterback position. And we saw what Aaron Rodgers did in that last matchup, against this team. He had 29 points. I mean, 4 touchdowns, 249 yards passing. So I think this should be another game where we see high scoring, because Steelers defense has not been very good either. So I have Joe Flacco at 9. Joe Flacco over the last, again, 4 weeks is quarterback 1 in points per game. He's got 27, which is insane. When I saw that stat, I looked twice. I was so surprised. Then I had Matt Stafford at 10 going up against a tough Seattle defense. That's going to be a big test for that offense, but Seattle's been favorable to defense, to quarterbacks, 20.6 points per game over their last 4 games. It's the last 5 weeks, but unfortunately, they had a bye, so it's really a 4-game sample size. But they've given up points on the ground, 116 rushing yards. Obviously, Stafford's not going to have that opportunity there. But they've also given up points in the passing game. Not a lot of touchdowns, though, right? Only 5 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks for them, but 898 yards. So they're giving up a floor of at least they're giving up about 225 yards passing per game, and Stafford's just been really good. So it's just, kind of banking on him being on a heater right now. So I have him there. Caleb Williams at number 11. Caleb Williams is kind of also on a little bit of a heater. He's played really, really good. He's going up against Minnesota, and we saw Minnesota's secondary. They've struggled. Ninth right now in points per game allowed to the quarterback position, 23.9 over the last 4 weeks. Then I have Patrick Mahomes, which is probably a big surprise to people. Maybe not if you think I'm biased and a Broncos fan, but Patrick Mahomes here at 12. He's going up against Denver, who's 30th when it comes to points allowed per game to quarterbacks, 15.7. Denver's has given up just 1 touchdown, less than a touchdown a game over the last 5 weeks to quarterbacks. Passing yards, 933. So under 200 yards passing per game, and 15.7, fantasy points per game. We know Andy Reid, though, coming out of a bye, I definitely think he's going to have more than 15 points, which is why I have him. I don't have him down in the late teens, but I think 12 is fair. I think tempering expectations is fair. Tua Tagovailoa, this is probably a surprise. I have him at 13. I think he's a great play this week. Tua Tagovailoa and that offense have been okay. They've actually been solid. And if there's a get-right game for any quarterback this year, it's against Washington. I mean, they have I think I saw something that said the best top 5 EPA games from a quarterback this year, 3 of them have came against Washington's defense. I think they'll be ready to go at home. I love Tua this week. I think he's a really, really good play. So I have Tua at 13. JJ McCarthy at 14 against the Chicago Bears. That's another secondary that's been pretty beat up in Chicago. Bears right now to the quarterback position are Not the best, not the worst. Let me see where I have them here. Bears. Actually, sorry, they are one of the worst. Number two when it comes to points allowed per game to the quarterback position over the last 5 weeks, and that's a 5 game sample size. 28.2 points per game to the quarterback position. So I think JJ could have a good game. It just matters what JJ is going to show up. Is 9 going to show up? And those that are kind of keeping up with the whole JJ McCarthy experience. I guess he said that he had an alter ego that he calls 9. Kind of cringy, but hey, whatever gives you that edge, I guess. Zoom in here a little bit for you. Maybe that helps a little bit on the screen here. But then to kind of rattle off the rest here, Jared Goff at 15. I had Jared Goff really high last week. He came through. I had him at 6 on the week, or maybe it was 7. But it was really, really good. And I liked seeing what I saw from him. He goes up against the Eagles, though. And, Eagles defense looked better last week. Don't get me wrong. But Eagles right now, 19th in points per game allowed to the quarterback position. They're giving us about a floor of 19 points. And they've been susceptible on the ground to quarterbacks, but they haven't given up a lot in the past, right? Just 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions over the last 4 games. So that's one to watch there. Jared Goff, could be in for a down week. Marcus Mariota at 16. He's going up against Miami. I want to have him higher, but I think Miami's defense is going to be kind of good this week. I kind of like them, and ultimately, this is an international game, and we know international games can be kind of weird. Not every game can be the Colts last week. I don't expect that to be the norm in the international games, but it was nice to see that we got points there. Then you have Geno Smith at 17. He's going up against Dallas. It's hard to put Geno much higher. I know Dallas has been, so favorable to quarterbacks, 5th in points per game over their last 4 games. But it's just, I don't know. Like, I just don't trust Geno right now. And with the injury that he had, he's banged up a little bit right now. I struggle to put him much higher. So I have him at 17. Jordan Love at 18. He's going up against a defense in who is he going against? Jordan Love. He's going up against the Giants. Secondary, not great for the Giants. I think this is a ground and pound game. I think the Packers just absolutely just pound the rock here. I know Love had a tough game last week, but this is what the identity of the Packers is going to be late in the season, right? They are a team that likes to pound the football, and I expect them to continue that way. Sam Darnold here at 19 against the Rams. I loved Sam Darnold. I think I said it a couple weeks ago. I think he's a top 12 quarterback play rest of the season. That's how much I think of him and this offense right now. But he's going up against the Rams, and their defense has been pretty stingy. 23rd in points allowed to the quarterback position. Bo Nix at 20. Obviously, if you think I'm biased, I had Bo Nix here at 20, so I can't be that biased. He's going up against the Kansas City defense, and they're 24th when it comes to points allowed to the quarterback position. Jacoby Brissett at 21. This is more of an interesting one, right? I mean, 49ers secondary has been pretty bad. They're 7th when it comes to points allowed to the quarterback position, 24.9 per game, but no Marvin Harrison. That affects this. Their ancillary pieces are pretty bad. I have him and Brock Purdy next to each other. I'm sorry, I have Mac Jones and Brock Purdy underneath next to each other, just because, it just depends who's going to play. They're both going to probably be right where they are right now. It just matters on who it's going to be. And then you have Trevor Lawrence at 24. So that's where I'm at with my quarterback rankings. I think that's pretty good in depth. I'm going to take some questions now. Let me just shift here and take in some notes and just make sure I mark off where we are in the show notes. Don't have a producer with me today. All right. So let's rattle off some of these questions here really quick. KJ Frederick said, start 2 running backs, flex 1, Henderson, RJ Harvey, Vidal, Charbonnet, and Christian Watson. Yeah, I'm going to go with Henderson. I will go with, let's see, Henderson. I'm definitely not going with Charbonnet out of the running backs here. I think you're probably going Henderson, RJ, and Vidal. Give me the bell cow here with Vidal and RJ Harvey. Those guys should get the lion's share of their work. Henderson's got a good matchup. Christian Watson's been solid, good flex play. Charbonnet, He's given us touchdowns, but ultimately, I'm not starting those guys over those running backs. SW Elbow said sell high on Drake London. Other receivers are CeeDee Lamb and Nico Collins, half PPR. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what we're talking about here. What are we getting for Drake London? Looking at Drake London's schedule, Drake London next couple weeks. I mean, Carolina this week, then he gets the Saints, then he gets the Jets, then he gets Seattle, Tampa Bay, Arizona. I mean, it's a middle of the pack schedule. It's not super bad. It's not super good. It's pretty average. I don't think I would be selling London. It just depends what you need. I mean, you have CD and Nico. I think Nico would be the guy I'd like to sell out of these guys, but you might not be able to get as much. So it just depends on for what. Paul said Knicks or Rodgers. I'm starting Aaron Rodgers, top 10 play for me this week. Iggy's in the house at start 3. Henderson, Pearsall, JMO, Woody, and Kyron. Yeah, I'm starting the running backs here, all 3 of them. I wouldn't think twice about it. Play on 2 players, Christian Watson, Sutton, Ridley, Slayton. Thank you. Yeah, I like Darius Slayton this week. I would go with Slayton and I would go with Cortland Sutton. Those are the 2 players I would go with this week. Frosty said in redraft, start a PPR league. 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex, 1 tight end. My quarterback is Nix, Dart. Running backs are Brown, Henderson, Marks, Judkins, CD Lamb. Should I package up? Okay. So yeah, 1 quarterback here. You're obviously you got to start Nix. Dart's not playing. 2 running backs, 2 receivers. Yeah, for me for the running backs here, I would go with Brown, and I would go with Henderson, but I have Woody Marks at 15, so I like Woody Marks a lot this week. So I probably would be flexing him. So I would probably go with those 3 flex Marks. I would go with CeeDee Lamb, London, and I would flex either Tez or Keenan Allen. Let me see where I have Keenan Allen, but I know I have Tez Johnson pretty high this week. Yeah, I have Tez Johnson at 24. I would flex Tez and I would flex Woody Marks. At tight end, you have Kittle. Should I package up to upgrade it? I mean, you definitely have a lot of depth here. So, I mean, you might be able to maybe package up Henderson, maybe a Henderson with, a Keenan Allen, or a Tez Johnson, to see if you can tier up at running back there. But it's got to be a nice tier up, or else there's no reason to crush your depth because it depends. How is it a for sure thing? Is it a for sure? And fantasy football, nothing feels like it's quote unquote for sure. But you just gotta weigh that out a little bit. Josh said Atlanta or Chargers DST this week. Yeah, I have the Chargers ahead of Atlanta this week. A lot of deadlines are this week. George said, Pete, 2 questions. 1, Musgrave or Freiermuth? I'm going with Freiermuth. 2, I can only play one of Rashad White, Michael Wilson, or Zay Flowers. Yeah, I'd go with Zay Flowers. I think Bucky Irvin's going to play this week. Woody Marks or Travis Etienne? I'm pretty sure I have Woody Marks ahead of Travis Etienne. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I don't even know. Did I answer that? Woody. Yeah, I'd go Woody Marks. I have Woody Marks at 15. Frost said instead of Knicks this week, do I go Flacco or Purdy? I would go with Flacco. Sam Darnold or Bo Nix. I would prefer Darnold, but they're close-ish. Should I buy low on AJ Brown? I would just stay away. You don't want the headache right now. Dardrick, what's up? Best defense to keep for fantasy playoffs besides the Texans, Cleveland, or Falcons. I prefer the Falcons. Jamie's in the house. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Frost said, would you rather have AJ Brown or BTJ rest of the season? I'd rather BTJ. ETN or Marks? Yep, I have Marks. Prefer him. Do you think I should sell high on Dart just because maybe the Giants shut him down? I don't think the Giants will shut him down for the rest of the season, but I'm good with selling him high. There's maybe a little bit of concern that with the concussions, maybe he starts second guessing himself running, and maybe they start coaching that out of him a little bit. Jamie said, good show the other day with Sam. Went back and finished the replay. He's awesome. He was in my chat last night. Yeah, I mean, Sam's a really good dude. Jamie, I got to start making sure I can hop onto your shows. Been super busy, but I would love to watch one and maybe come on if you ever need a guest. KJ Frederick said, after seeing your rankings, should I drop Bo Nix? or Atlanta D for Rodgers, full PPR playing against Lamar this week. Need some good points from my quarterback. Yeah, I'd rather drop the Atlanta defense over Knicks. Knicks has a decent schedule rest of the season. I think he's going to be fine. He's quarterback 8 in points per game, over the last 4 weeks, and that's including the bad game that he just had. So I think we need to just calm down a little bit with Knicks. I think he's going to be okay. Um, Loving over Otten or Schultz. We get rich or we die trying. No, I like Otten. I like the volume I've seen from Otten. I'm going with Otten. Would you trade away ETN for Bowers? I have Kyron, Javante, Woody Marks. Yeah, I mean, I would. I would trade. I mean, you're getting Bowers. The running backs. You're okay. You have three. I mean, this is the time of the year, man. If you start selling off depth to tier up at places, that's where you got to do it. So I'm good with that. I would go with Bowers. You're getting a huge upgrade from Loveland to Bowers for sure. Uh, let's see. Cash Buyer said McBride for Ibuka and Laporta. Depends on what the rest of your team looks like. I think this could be a fair trade, but McBride's also got like half of his career touchdowns have come this year. He's been on a heater with Jacoby Brissett, so it's really hard to move off of McBride right now. I just don't think I want to, unless you really really need to break off, because maybe you're running thin with injuries and stuff. Bauer's fantasy playoff schedule includes Denver, Philly, Houston, Addison, Worthy, Trey Tucker, or Khalil Shakir at the flex. Yeah, I'm going with Khalil Shakir. Tampa has been pretty friendly to wide receivers. Jefferson for Olave, Hurts, and Aaron Jones. PPR. I already have Caleb as a quarterback. No, I'm not doing this. I mean, Olave's been consistent, but Jefferson's floor is pretty much Olave's like average right now. I know Jefferson's hasn't been good, but I'm probably still not doing it. Let's see. Non PPR. Yeah, then I'm going with McBride. I'm going with McBride in that trade. Craig said, Craig is here. Better to start Higgins and Devonta Smith over Diggs this week. Yeah, I'm good with that. I like that. I mean, Diggs is like right behind both of them, but I'm good with that. Alex said, I traded Nico and Barkley for JSN and ETN week 4. Then I traded ETN and Gadsden for Ibuka. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I like that. Um, let's see. Start one, Sean Tucker, Tyler Algier, Mercado, Rodriguez, non-PPR also, someone on waivers. Yeah, I'd go with Algier right now. I know he's been good. DeMarcado, I don't know what to expect with that backfield right now. Um, yeah. I'm still stuck on a Dunze over Diggs and Marks over Harvey. Yeah, I'm going Marks over Harvey. I'm going to Dunze over Diggs. I think your head's in the right spot. That's what I have, and that's what I'm doing. Um, let's see. Hmm. Yeah, I guess I could see doing this. Yeah, I mean you get a nice upgrade at wide receiver and Sutton, Pearson, Myers. Ugh, I mean that's a really really bad wide receiver room. I would do that trade. Chris Rodriguez or Tajay Spears. I have Spears, but I happen to like Rodriguez this week a lot. Not a lot where I'm like he's gonna have a monster week, but I like Rodriguez a little bit more than maybe others do. Dolphins or Atlanta defense. I have Atlanta over Dolphins, Iggy, but they're close in my opinion. Let's see. I have Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, blah, blah, blah. Should I trade Hampton for a backup wide receiver and roster handcuffs for the running backs? I wouldn't trade him for a backup wide receiver. No. I mean, I don't know who your wide receivers are, so it just depends. I mean, it's really hard to say. When Hampton comes back, I'm going to prefer Hampton to start every week over Tet, for sure. Jamie said hit that like button. Thanks for coming in, cash buyer. Baltimore, Atlanta. Yeah, I prefer Baltimore pretty comfortably. Loveland or Freiermuth want upside. Yeah, I mean, if you want upside, then go Freiermuth. I mean, they just scored 4 touchdowns the last time these guys played. So but there's some risk there, but that would be if you really want that upside. If you're being true and honest here, that would be that would be the route I would go. All right, let's go ahead and look at the rest of our rankings here. We're going to shift over to the next position, which is going to be the running backs. So let's check out the running backs ranks here that I have. A lot of orange clustered up down there. But starting things off, I have Christian McCaffrey at number one. I feel like the top of the rankings, no, especially for running backs, like do you guys really care about that? I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Devon A-Chain, Miami, Bijan. I mean, this is not earth-shattering stuff here, but McCaffrey against Arizona, Devon A-Chain versus Washington. I shouldn't have to tell you why those are good matchups. Bijan versus Carolina, good matchup. Jahmyr Gibbs, I have him at 4 against Philly. I know people are a little bit worried with how Philly came out and played last week, but it's Jahmyr Gibbs. We just saw what he did. So I'll take him being more consistent. I trust him more on a weekly basis than I trust the Eagles defense. Javonte Williams against Las Vegas. I have him at 5. I like him here. I think it's a good spot for him. I think he's just played so well this year. And the Raiders right now, they're 19th, 15.9 points per game to the running back position, but they've also given up. This is again, keep in mind this is the last 5 weeks. But in the last 4 games, the Raiders have given up 23 receptions to the running back position, and Javonte catches the football a good bit, so I like him there. Rico Dowdle here at number 6. He's going up against Atlanta. Atlanta's run defense, it has been one of the worst in the NFL the last couple of weeks. They've been pretty brutal. That's my biggest concern about starting the Atlanta defense is just their run defense overall. It's just bad. I mean, right now Falcons number 1 when it comes to points allowed to the running back position over the last 5 weeks, 30.4 points per game. So that's pretty bad. Josh Jacobs here, I have him here at 7. I think they're going to tote the rock there. He's going up against the Giants. They have a good run defense there. I think Josh Jacobs still is going to have a good game. They need to win this game. James Cook at 8. Going up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are 7th when it comes to points allowed to running backs over the last 5 weeks. They've only played 4 games, though, in that span. Some of that's skewed a little bit due to Trevor Henderson having a really, really nice week last week. If you dig a little bit deeper into the numbers, the last 4 weeks, it's really been Henderson had a 27 bomb. Jahmyr Gibbs had a 33-point game. McCaffrey had a 17-point game. I mean, they played against some really good running backs. So just not to say that you got to play who's in front of you. And James Cook's a really good running back too. So nothing to take away from him there. But Cash Buyer with a super chat. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate that. And if you want me to stop and answer a question while I'm going over the rankings, and you don't want to wait, you can send in a super chat as well. But then I have Ashton Genty here at number 9. He takes on the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys gets Quinnen Williams, and they also get Logan Wilson additions. Those 2 massive additions against the run. We'll see how they fare. This could be a kind of shitty spot for Ashton Genty. I know people might love him this week, and I have him at 9, but I'm a little bit concerned. I think he's a boom bust pick this week. I don't think he's going to have a very good floor. Chase Brown at 10 against Pittsburgh. Chase Brown had his best game of the year to get things rolling for him against Pittsburgh. That was kind of the game where he was running at very high yards per carry per clip. That's kind of what got him kind of jump started, and he's been pretty solid ever since. Then I have Jaylen Warren at 11 here against Cincinnati. Jaylen Warren is tricky, man. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell's kind of nipping on his heels right now. Warren's kind of been like a really, really good RB2 this year. When you look at him the last couple of games, running back 23, then running back 6, then running back 26, then running back 9 in the last 4 weeks. So it's kind of fluctuated up and down for him. But he goes up against Cincinnati, and we know that their defense is just really bad. So I'm not saying go out and start Jalen Warren over Kyron Williams, even though I have him ranked higher. Kyron Williams is the guy that's probably more trustworthy with his workload versus Warren, but Warren gets the better matchup. So Trevor Henderson here at 13, he goes up against the New York Jets this week. And Trevor Henderson, I mean, what can I say? I mean, he great week last week. No Ramondre Stevenson this week. We'll see him tonight. So I think wheels up for him. He should have be in line for another really nice day. Saquon Barkley at 14. He goes up against the Lions. I'm kind of nervous about Saquon in this game. Lions' run defense has been really, really good against running backs. Woody Marks here at 15. I love Woody Marks this week. He goes up against Tennessee. We saw a really, really nice workload for Woody Marks last week, and I expect it to continue. Tennessee 12th in points per game allowed to the running back position with 18.8. Not giving up a ton of receptions to the running back position, just 7 over the last 4 weeks, but a lot of that has to do with teams just not playing from behind. I think they can lean on Woody. I don't think he's actually he doesn't even have an injury designation, which means I think he faked that injury to get a timeout for his offense. Then I have Aaron Jones at 16. I think he's taken over this backfield. He's going up against Chicago. Brees Hall at 17. He goes up against the Patriots. Derrick Henry at 18. He goes up against the Cleveland Browns. Travis Etienne at 19. He goes up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Kamani Vidal at 20. He goes up against the Jaguars. DeAndre Swift against Minnesota. He's at 21. I have Monangai below him. I got to be honest. I mean, I liked Monangai last week. Monangai gets a touchdown, but Swift ended up getting more of the work. And, it still looks like it's going to be close to a 50-50 split, but Swift is going to get those high value targets. And with Monangai, you're probably hoping for him to just have a really, really efficient day on the ground with yards, or he falls into the end zone. Quinshon Judkins here at 23. Tough matchup against Baltimore. I just don't trust this Browns offense right now. It's a divisional game, so I know things can be a little bit weird, but it's just kind of where we're at. Rashad White at 24. Bucky Irving, of course, if Bucky plays, he's going to slot in very, very high into these rankings. For the rankings that you can't see, because this only goes up to 24, I have Montgomery at 25. Then I have Tyrone Tracy at 26. I have Zach Charbonnet at 27. Kareem Hunt at 28. Imari DiMercado at 29. Tony Pollard at 30. Kyle Monangai at 31. Tajay Spears at 32. Kenneth Walker at 33. Sean Tucker at 34. Tyler Algier at 35. I think I need to move Tyler Algier up and probably move DeMarcado back. But it's tough. I mean, the run defense is just really, really bad for San Fran. So it can go either way there. But that's kind of where we're at with those. Let me make sure I make a note, because for my notes in the background here, I just realized that I did not mark down when I started talking about the running backs. So I'm going to have to go back yeah, I'll have to make sure I go back and get that right. But all right, so we're going to move off of the running back rankings. Let me shift over to some of the questions here, and then I'll go to wide receivers. When are kicker rankings coming out? So Hoff was supposed to post them. I think he's under the weather this week. I know he posted them on Twitter. I will tell him to post it in the YouTube community chat. Let me text him now. Let's see. All right, so I texted him. He's either going to do the video or he'll post his kicker rankings in the community page on here on YouTube. But if you follow him on Twitter, he did post them there as well. Cash Buyer said, last question. If I have to include a wide receiver with McBride to get Igbuka, I prefer Jacoby Myers out of those three. For sure. I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing it based on your team. Michael said my other team questionable right now. Harrison out. Choices for replacing pick 2. Pearsall if he plays. I.E. Manor, Parker. If I did pick up Dortch. I'm going with Pearsall if he plays for sure. Pearsall is locked. Parker Washington is probably the other guy I would go with here. I gotta be honest though. I do think that Tyler Lockett's definitely in play to be a to be a play. Hoff said looking to drop it today. So Hoff's going to drop the kicker rankings today. So he just texted me. So that is confirmed on that kicker question. So we have that. Let's see what else. Yes, Jamie, I know. I know you're a Browns fan. Couldn't trust him for 25 years. Robert Page is in the house. What's up, Robert? Good to see you, man. Cash said just subscribed and liked. Thank you. Appreciate that. Vincent said, should I deal Addison, Hall, and Lamb for Chase and Bucky? Um, I mean, if Bucky gets the clear here, I would say yes. If Bucky Irving gets cleared and healthy, I think Lamb and Chase are about a wash. And Bucky is the best other player in this deal. So I would say yes. I think Bucky's getting cleared this week. Just make sure you're paying attention to that. RJ Harvey should be number one. Yeah, I like that better than number 12. Unless you're talking about my rankings. Lucas Quack said, should I trade away Swift before the deadline? I have James Cook as my other running back. I mean, that's really hard to say, Lucas. I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. It'd be a little bit helpful to yeah, it would be a little bit more helpful to have more insight there. Dallas Lamb said, I traded Drake London for Bijan. My wide receivers are Nico, Puka. My running backs are Bijan, Gibbs, Genty, and Flex. Bench is kind of weak now. Have to give up. Oh, wow. Okay, so you added Sutton too. I think it's a fine move. I think it's fine. I would say look to tear down off of Genty for depth. I would try to move off of Genty. Maybe you can get like a Chase Brown for Genty and maybe get a wide receiver kicked in with Chase Brown, something like that. I would try to make a move like that, depending on what depending on what your record is. I mean, I doubt the Hampton owner would be open to trading him to you for, Genty and then getting a good solid wide receiver back, but you never know. All right, so let's take a look here. All right, let me go to my wide receiver rankings and then I will answer questions in the chat here. So let's move over to the wide receivers. Again, if you have a question and you want to get it answered right now and you don't want to wait for me, just go ahead and send in a super chat. I will pull down and answer whatever question you have. All right, so rankings here for the wide receiver position. Let's see. So top 24, this is how I have it. I'm going to go deeper than 24. The graphic just won't show that, but I think it's important that you guys see. Jamar Chase at 1. I have JSN at 2. I have Puka Nacua here at number 3. I have CeeDee Lamb at number 4. I have Jalen Waddle at number 5. I love Jalen Waddle this week against Washington. It's a smash matchup for Jalen Waddle. He's wide receiver 6 in points per game. I'm sorry, in total points since Tyreek Hill has gone down. Jalen Waddle is a top 12 wide receiver rest of the season, in my opinion. Then I have Amon-Ra St. Brown against Philly. A little bit of a tougher matchup against the Eagles, of course, but St. Brown is just St. Brown. I mean, he does things regardless of the matchup. He's just that dude. Eagles right now, 26th in terms of points allowed to the wide receiver position over the last 5 weeks, 16.3. But yeah, I still like St. Brown, so I'm gonna roll him out there and be confident. Drake London at 7 against Carolina. Carolina, their defense, and this is a kind of a sketchy one because Drake London and the offense really just looked terrible last time they played, and Michael Penix is starting to concern me a little bit. 20th in points per game allowed to the wide receiver position, 18.5. So it's not like they're giving up a ton, but out of respect, I have Drake London there. I'm sorry, that wasn't PPR. Sorry, that wasn't PPR points. They're giving up 28.9 points. And the Eagles, going back to that initial one, that they're giving up 27.6 points per game. That might have been standard scoring. Okay, see Alfredo, I see you said My starting running backs are Judkins and Dowdle. Pick two to flex. Henderson, Chase Brown, McMillan, BTJ. Yeah, I'm going with the running backs here pretty comfortably. Chase Brown and Henderson, I like them a lot this week. Alfredo, I would roll with the running backs, and I would go with those two. And honestly, I would be considering benching Judkins. I would definitely play Henderson and Dowdle, and I would and then Chase Brown. I like Judkins is the guy I like the least out of those four. And I would consider maybe Judkins for McMillan. Definitely not BTJ, but I think I'd still roll with Judkins. But yeah, I think I would roll with all four running backs. Thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate it. Um, let's see. Justin Jefferson here. I have him at 8, going up against Chicago. A little bit of a bounce back here. A lot of talk going on with him and the effort and everything else. I know he hasn't been that good with JJ, but I feel good about it. Ladd McConkey at 9 against the Jaguars. The Jaguars secondary has just been so bad. So I'm taking him there. I like Ladd a lot this week. Number 7th in terms of points allowed to the wide receiver position over the last 4 games. Which is 35.1 points per game in PPR. So I love Ladd this week. Rashee Rice against Denver. I have him at 10. Really, really hard to kind of project on how he's going to play this week. No Patrick Surtain. They also are coming off a bye. If there's one guy I trust in this offense right now, it's Rashee Rice, though. So I think Rashee Rice should have a solid game. I don't think he's going to have a monster, ton of yards and blow the top off the defense, but I think he's going to catch a decent amount of passes. Another super chat in here from Scott said, would you go with Drake May or Stafford this week? Go with Drake May. I have Drake May at 2. I talked about the rankings for quarterbacks at the 7-minute mark. I went over the rankings, so you can go back there if you want to hear the analysis. But yeah, I like Drake May a lot this week. I like Matthew Stafford because he's just been on a heater, but ultimately he's going up against the Seattle Seahawks. They've been pretty good against the quarterback position. And so, yeah, I would definitely go with Drake May tonight. That's for sure. He's given us a really, really good floor. Both guys are, but I go with Drake May. Nico Collins against Tennessee, Emeka Egbuka against Buffalo. Those are the next guys on the list here. Then I have Devontae Adams against Seattle. I have George Pickens against the Las Vegas Raiders. Devonta Smith at 15 against Detroit. It's a sketchy one. I think Devonta's the favorite right now in the offense at the moment over AJ. So I have him there. But starting both Philly receivers right now just is just sketchy. T. Higgins against Pittsburgh. Honestly, there's a world where I just say screw it and I just put T. Higgins ahead of Devonta. I think I'll probably do that live right now, just because the more and more I sit here and think about it, I think Devonta is probably behind, Diggs and Higgins for me. So I think I'll bump those guys down actually. So I'll put Diggs and Higgins above them. And then I have Devonta and AJ at 17, 18. They're locked in next to each other. I do think Devonta's the favorite. AJ might bump down here too, but I'll kind of have to figure that out over the next couple days. I have some time to sit and think on it. Maybe more AJ Brown emotional posts or comments will come out and sway my opinion even more. Zay Flowers against the Cleveland Browns at 19. Romeo Doubs at 20 against the Giants. DK Metcalf at 21 against the Cincinnati Bengals. That was a weird game with DK last time. He had the really good start to the game. I had all his props, and he didn't get another catch after the first drive. It was so ridiculous. He had a bomb to him too. It was a 30-yard over the shoulder catch, and he caught it down the right sideline, and they barely went to him after that. Rome Odunze at 22 against Minnesota. Khalil Shakir at 23 against Tampa Bay. Tez Johnson making his way in here, 15 points per game over the last 4 weeks for Tez. He's been a top 25 wide receiver over that span. He's going up against Buffalo, so I have him there. Then for what you cannot see right now, I have Wan'Dale Robinson at 25 against Green Bay. I have Juwan Jennings at 26 against Arizona. I have Jordan Addison at 27 versus Chicago. I have Tet McMillan at 28 versus Atlanta. Quentin Johnson at 29 versus Jacksonville. Debo at 30 versus Miami. Darius Slayton at 31 over versus Green Bay. This was a really tough four or five guys to group up here. QJ, Debo, Slayton, BTJ, Troy Franklin. To be completely honest with you, I could have them in any order there, and not feel good about any of it. So that's a tough tier. Then I have Christian Watson at 34 against the Giants, Keenan Allen at 35 against Jacksonville, Jamison Williams at 36 versus Philly. JMO is pretty high on a lot of consensus rankings right now. I know he had the good week against Washington last week, and everyone's convinced Dan Campbell took over the play calling, and because of that, he's going to be consistent and a guy you can trust. I'm just not there yet with JMO. I prefer these guys ahead of him. Then I have Cortland Sutton at 37 against Kansas City. I have Tyler Lockett at 38 versus Dallas, Christian Kirk at 39 versus Tennessee, Parker Washington at 40 versus the Chargers, Trey Tucker at 41 versus Dallas, DJ Moore at 42 against Minnesota. I tried so hard to put DJ Moore higher, and I just couldn't, even against a bad secondary. Keon Coleman at 43 against Tampa Bay, Greg Dortch at 44 against San Francisco. Jerry Jeudy at 45 against Baltimore, Jacoby Myers at 46 versus the Chargers, and Xavier Worthy at 47 versus Denver. Actually, I could have shared this tab, so I could just share it. It's just not going to look as nice as the graphic did. But that's why I have my rankings kind of here at this point for the wide receiver position. You can see it on the screen. This is where everything kind of cleans up and kind of moves off there. And yeah, so I mean, I see Moet Mills asked Parker Washington or Tez Johnson. So if you scroll up here, I have Tez at 24. I have Parker Washington at 40. Chargers defense has been pretty good against the wide receiver position in fantasy. And so yeah, that's kind of where I have it sitting right now. All right, let's go over the questions in the chat here really quick, and then I'm going to go to the tight end position. Let's see. Let's see. Come on, where are we at? Jason Poole, Quentin Johnson, Addison, Wandale Otten for my flex. I think I would go with Wandale Robinson or Otten. Those would be the two. I think I actually lean Otten. I misspoke there. I think I would lean Otten in that one. Let's see. What else do we have? Answered some of those. Okay. Yeah, I kind of went too far back in the rankings. I made a mistake there on questions. Okay, Dallas, and I have Aaron Jones, DJ Moore, Jacoby Myers on my bench. That was regarding the trade question before. Feel good about that. Mariota McCarthy this week, flex, Rashad White, Benson, BTJ. Yeah, I went over my rankings for the quarterbacks at the 7-minute mark, so you can hear a little bit more in depth. But for me, I have JJ McCarthy for this question here. Rashad White, Addison, or Brian Thomas Jr. I think Bucky's going to play. If Bucky plays, I'm going to go with Addison here. If Bucky doesn't play, I'll go with Rashad White. Lucas said 12-team PPR, Cook, Swift, London, Jacoby bench is solid. Is Swift worth trading, or should I let this team ride? I mean, it depends who your RB2 is after Swift. I need 2 running backs in a flex. PPR, Barkley, Hall, Kyron, Jalen Warren. Yeah, I would go with Kyron. I would go with Jalen Warren, and then it's really between Barkley and Hall. I think they're, oh man, it's kind of sketchy. The Patriots are giving up passes to the running back position, but I still have Saquon ahead of them, so I would bench Breece Hall here. Their run defense is stout for the Patriots. They're one of the best. Let's see. I was offered Schultz or Loveland for Jones. Should I accept? Yeah, I would take that. I would take that for sure. And or keep Fannin and Jones. Wait. Oh, no, I would roll with Fannin and Jones. I would roll with that. Yep. Let's see. Good to see it, Moet. What's up, man? Dylan said Sutton or Vidal or Diggs. I would go with either Diggs or Vidal. I would go with Vidal just on the volume alone. It's hard to bench a bell cow. Sutton or Vidal. Yep, answered that. Mo Mill said good looks. Had both last week. Got my team's back, Rice and CD. Yeah, I mean, if you have Rice and CeeDee Lamb on your roster, you're feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good for the stretch run here at the end. All right, let's go over my last set of rankings here, tight end position. Then I'll go over DST updates. My DST video is out, of course, but if you haven't watched it or you just want to see what updates I might have, I will gladly provide that in just a moment here. Let's go ahead and look at the tight end here. Let's see. Let's see. Tight end. Don't worry about it saying half PPR. This is based off full PPR. Tight ends, I have Trey McBride here at number 1, Brock Bowers at number 2. Before I start rattling off, let me mark where we are in the show so that people can rewatch it. All right, so we're at the 54-minute mark. All right, so for tight end, I have Trey McBride here at the number 1 spot. McBride's been awesome. I mean, I talked about it before, but I mean, pretty much half of his career touchdowns have came this year during the stretch of games with Jacoby Brissett. And Brock Bowers here at number 2. Rondé Gadsden at number 3. He's going up against the Jaguars. Jaguars have been so bad against tight ends lately. It's not even funny. Kittle at 4. Kittle's been a little bit frustrating this year when he's come back. He did get into the end zone last week. Sam Laporta at 5. Dallas Goedert at 6. Cade Otton at 7. The volume's there. Cade Otton's got a tough matchup against the Bills, but the volume was there. I'll ride it. I'll ride that they maybe continue to use him. If Godwin and Bucky come back, maybe it's worth having a revisit of that. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. Hunter Henry at 8 against the Jets. Let's see if Hunter Henry can get on that hot streak again. He's going up against a good matchup against the Jets. Kyle Pitts at 9 against Carolina. Zach Ertz at 10. I really, really think Zach Ertz is super sneaky today against Miami. This week against Miami. Travis Kelce at 11 versus Denver. I want to have Kelce a little bit higher, but 11 feels about right. Denver did lose Alex Singleton, but he wasn't good at covering tight ends anyway. Justin Strnad should be in there, and he's actually probably better in pass coverage. Patrick Freiermuth at 12. This is really sketchy. We know what Freiermuth did against Cincinnati last time, so that's why I have him high. Jake Ferguson at 13. This comes as probably a surprise for some, but Vegas has been really good against tight ends. They've limited tight ends this year. Theo Johnson at 14 versus Green Bay. Dalton Schultz at 15 versus Tennessee. Harold Fannin Jr. at 16 versus Baltimore. Mark Andrews at 17 versus Cleveland. Mason Taylor at 18 versus the Patriots. Jonnu Smith at 19 versus Cincinnati. Colson Loveland at 20 versus Minnesota. David Njoku at 21 versus Baltimore. TJ Hawkinson at 22 versus Chicago. Noah Fant scored a touchdown last time he played Pittsburgh a couple weeks back. I have him at 23. And then I have Evan Ingram here at 24 versus Kansas City. Luke Musgrave is at 25. You could tell me Luke Musgrave should be ahead of all the way under where Mason Taylor is. I wouldn't argue with you. I wouldn't argue with you if that's where you kind of were, to be honest. But that's where I have my tight end rankings, and then I'm going to go over my defense here. For any last minute questions, send it in here because I'm about to hop out once this is done. So I'm switching over to the defense rankings now. Obviously, if you watch the video, you might kind of have a feel, but some movement here. Chicago moved up to 5. I did move Green Bay down to 6 after some more thinking about it. I still think that with the matchup of Winston, it's still a good matchup, but ultimately I still bumped them down a little bit. I moved Bears up. I moved Denver down a little bit, Kansas City down. I moved the Falcons to 9. I like the Falcons. I just worry that Carolina could run the ball down their throat a little bit. I know I did kind of advocate for them. It's a must-win game, and I still feel that way. But I just think that the defense, Denver and Kansas City's defense have just been more consistent. Rams at 10. Vikings at 11, Dolphins at 12, Seattle at 13. Dallas moves up to 14. I bumped them up a couple spots after thinking about it a little bit more. That's a risky play, but Dallas is also a defense that we don't know how these new additions are going to come out, right? With Quinnen Williams, with Logan Wilson. Is Geno Wilson going to be 100%? Is Geno Smith going to be 100% even if he does come back? So kind of a weird one, but also high upside, high ceiling with Dallas. So I get the play. I get going with them. San Fran at 15, Jags at 16, Lions bumped down to 17. I bumped them down a couple of spots. Bills at 18, Browns at 19, Bucks at 20, Philadelphia Eagles 21, Tennessee Titans 22, Cardinals at 23, and Pittsburgh Steelers at 24. Pittsburgh at 24 feels wrong. I might need to move them up a little bit, but I'm definitely not playing them. I think Pittsburgh probably is better than 24, but the floor is super low for them that I don't even want to mess with it and play them. I think there's a good chance they probably finish somewhere at like 17, 15 and give you like 3, 4 points maybe, but I also don't even want to mess with them. So I'm putting them down here so you don't even think to play them because I think the floor is pretty low. All right, so let me go ahead and check out the questions, see if I have anything else here from you guys, and also let me make sure I marked off where I was with my show sheet here. Let's see. All right, so last few questions here. Jamie's in the chat said, I have Theo Johnson at 7 this week. Can you possibly see a 2-touchdown game from him with Winston, especially with his red zone usage? Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see a big game from Theo. It's just a question of like, how does this offense operate with no Dayball, new quarterback? Packers got to be pissed off, man. I mean, Packers 2 games in a row, they drop a stinker against the Panthers, and then they lose a tough fought game on Monday night. So I mean, it could be a disaster for the Giants. It's really hard to project, but I think Theo is a fine play from a volume standpoint. Robert Page said, "What are your thoughts on riding Houston defense versus adding Tampa for the playoffs?" So yeah, Tampa's playoff schedule is really, really solid. They have a really good schedule, much better than Houston's. Houston, if you need a win this week though, and you can't stash Tampa, I'm fine with just rolling out Tampa. But I'm sorry, I'm fine with just rolling out Houston, and then hoping to get Tampa maybe next week. But yeah, I like Tampa better for the rest of the season. T-Mac or White in the flex. White for sure if Bucky doesn't go. If Bucky does go, I would go with T-Mac. Kat, any thoughts on streaming Williams for for Arizona over Sutton this week? I wouldn't mess around with that. I wouldn't mess around with that. Williams, what Williams is on Arizona? Wilson? You might be in Wilson. But either way, I'm not starting those. I'm not starting the Arizona guys over Sutton. I'll play. I'll just roll the dice with Sutton and just hope that he gets into the end zone. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the Thursday Night Football tonight. I'll obviously be back on Sunday morning. Hoff's going to post those kicker rankings, and that video is going to come out later today. If you have any questions, feel free to comment once the video closes out. I'll try my best to answer them. If you are rewatching this is timestamped, so you can go back and watch them. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good rest of the day. Enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the rest of the week.